Hello and welcome to this week's video. Now, if you've been watching these videos, you'll be aware that I do a variety of different techniques. I use Tai Chi, Qigong, I use mindfulness, I use some physical techniques, I use some mental techniques. I try to make sure that there are techniques that are available that anyone can do. And if you've been watching me, I'm hoping that there's part of you thinking, these techniques are really useful. I'll give this a go. But if you've ever been in one of my weekly sessions, um, live sessions where people can tune in, you will almost certainly have heard me say, it's great that you want to come and do this with me once a week, but the real benefit of this comes from you doing something every day. And again, that's something I said in these videos. Try and do something every day. And what I'd like to talk about today is if you've decided, I really ought to do something every day, what I'd like to talk about is how you can actually start to build well-being into your daily ritual. And the first thing you need to do is look at what your life consists of at the moment. It's work, childcare, caring duties, whatever it is. And you need to look at it and go through it and think, well, okay, how much time do I have available each day? And you may look at it and think, well, I can probably only find a minute or two, or maybe 5 minutes. That's fine. When you start doing well-being for yourself, when you take that decision that, you know what, my health and well-being matters, and I want to do something to help myself, that's the most important decision that you make. You take that decision, and that's a huge starting point because you're recognizing that you need to do something. Being realistic about the amount of time you have available is huge, because if you enthusiastically go into things thinking, yeah, I'm going to spend 20 minutes a day doing meditation and reading, and realistically you can't do that because everything's a bit too busy, you're not going to get any benefit and you're just going to feel really bad and you're going to think, oh, I'm useless at this. So the first step is be realistic about how much time you've got. If it's only 1 minute to start a day to start off with, that's a brilliant starting point. You're giving yourself a whole minute a day, and that's 1 minute more than you were giving yourself. The second thing to look at is, well, okay, where am I going to do this? Now, I'm really lucky. I've got a spare bedroom that I've been able to sit up where I can see people one-to-one in person if they want to come to me for therapy. But it's certainly away from the rest of the house. I've been able to set it up so it works what I need to do for recording videos for my weekly online Tai Chi class. I've got a little bit of a desk here so I can sit here and, do my I Ching readings, and I can have things in here that make it feel like a special place. So I'm into crystals, I like pyramids, I like to burn incense, although being honest, the incense doesn't always agree with my chest. But I'm lucky. I've got a small room where I can, when I come in here, in a way, coming in here and shutting the door, that's me saying, right, this is my time. Is there somewhere in your house that you can say, this is where I'm going to sit to do whatever I'm going to do, or stand to do whatever I'm going to do? If it's a whole room, fantastic. But you may not have a whole room. You may have to find a small corner of a bedroom or something like that. And you may only have a short time to use it because, you're fitting it in between other people's needs. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're going to do this, you need to be sure that whatever you're doing fits with the time and the space that you have available. Now, there are huge benefits to saying, right, I really need to spend 20 minutes a day doing something like this. And maybe on some days you can. I'm going to be honest here. My routine is a bit of Qigong. I do a bit of spiritual reading, things like the Tao Te Ching. I'm currently reading the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, and I do a little bit of philosophy reading, and I do a bit of meditation. I will sometimes just pull a tarot card and see what that tells me. But some days I don't have the time to do that. But I made a promise to myself that I will spend at least 3 minutes a day doing meditation and mindfulness, even if I don't do anything else. And sometimes that 3 minutes of mindfulness will literally be 3 minutes of a breathing exercise. But I'm still doing something. And something is better than nothing. So once you've worked out what time you have available and what space you have available, if there is something that you can do to make that space a little bit special, maybe with, a nice piece of crystal, or, a bunch of flowers, or a pot plant, or just something that resonates with you, that tells you, this is mine, I've put this here because this space is for me. Fantastic. Do it. But you may not be able to. That doesn't matter. Because my whole raison d'etre with this is something that anybody can do without needing loads of space, without needing loads of time, without needing to buy any special equipment, without needing to buy anything at all. All you need to take part and really do self-care is your intention to do it, and a technique or a practice that is physically easy for you, that you have the time to do. And on days when you can spend longer, yeah, sure, it's good to do more if you have the time. But all I'm asking you to do is to set a minimum that you commit to doing each day. Now, as you get into the swing of doing this, there may be days when you find you can't do anything. Please, 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 don't let that make you think it's not worth getting back into the saddle and giving it a go. Because essentially, what you're doing is you're practicing something. You're trying to build up a new habit. You're trying to build up a habit that says, I deserve time for myself. I'm going to make time for myself. I'm going to do it in this amount of time, and I'm going to do it in this place, and I'm going to do something every day. But If you can't do something every day, does that matter? No, because the more you do it and the easier it becomes, the more you will actually find that it does become a habit and it becomes something that you almost automatically do. So, to the vexed issue of, okay, what am I going to do? To be honest, the easiest thing for just about everybody to start with is a simple seated meditation and mindfulness practice. And that can be just sitting, being aware of your breath for a minute. It can be using a guided meditation, a guided visualization that takes you, in your imagination out of your environment into somewhere that's peaceful. It can be where you just sit and listen to nice music and just close your eyes and enjoy the music, because that is meditation. Of course, at its heart, mindfulness is just being aware of what's going on. And if you're playing nice music and you're aware of the music, you're being mindful. There is nothing complicated about this. Yes, it's wonderful to set up what some people call a sacred space, and maybe you have a special cushion where you sit cross-legged. And if you can, fantastic. And maybe as you build your practice up, that's something you're thinking, I think that would help me. Go for it. Because there is no one perfect practice for everybody. Everybody is different, and the important thing is that you develop the practice that works for you. And maybe that practice is pure seated mindfulness. Maybe you're not comfortable sitting, and so you build your practice around doing a few Qigong moves. That's fine. The important thing is it's got to work for you. Because if it doesn't, you won't do it. And I can't repeat often enough, doing something is better than doing nothing. And even if you can't set aside a set time, be it first thing in the morning or last thing at night, or, when the kids have gone back to school for lunch and you've got the house quiet and to yourself, even if you can't set aside a specific time, you can still build these things into your day, because mindfulness practice can be triggered by anything. When you're cooking, when you're chopping vegetables, that can be an opportunity for mindfulness. I'm particularly fond of mindful washing up. Talk about making a virtue out of a necessity. But it's true. You can be standing at the sink and you can be really mindful of what you're doing. You can be mindful of what you can see out of your kitchen window. You can be mindful of what you can hear. You can be mindful of the feel of the water on your hands. You can be mindful of the sense of pleasure that you get when you turn a dirty, greasy plate into a clean one. So much that you can be aware of, that you can choose to be aware of. And that's the sort of thing that you don't need to build a special time for, because the chances are you're going to wash your hands or do some washing up or do some cooking. And you can pick any one of those that you know you're going to do reasonably regularly, and just start off by every time you wash your hands or something, whatever it is, you think, oh, let's be really aware of washing my hands and the feel of the water on my hands and the feel of the soap and the smell of the soap, and just being aware of what you're doing. Eating is a wonderful time to be mindful, because you probably eat more slowly and you probably enjoy your food more if you do it mindfully. So you don't even have to set aside a specific place and time. If you've decided that mindfulness is something that you want to practice, there are many ways that you can do so. All I would ask is that you make the commitment to yourself that you're going to do something every day. Because once you start doing something every day, and once you start to feel the benefits, you will probably find that it's amazing how, you can actually find, if only you've had time for a minute, you'll think, oh, I'm going to do 5 minutes now. Or maybe you start off by just focusing on your breath, and then you find an app, and I do recommend the Calm app, that's got really short meditations on, and you find those are helpful, and you suddenly find yourself spending, sort of maybe 10 or 12 minutes a day meditating. And it will happen organically. It will evolve. And that's the key thing. Whatever you do, it has got to fit in with your life as it is now. Because if you try to shoehorn a practice in and disrupt the normal practice of your life, it won't work. It's much better. Start small. Start really quick. Start with the cheapest, quickest, easiest thing that you can do. But just make the commitment to yourself that you can do it and that you're worth doing it for. And that's really the most important thing. Because when you make a commitment to practice mindfulness, qigong, whatever you're going to do, you're making a commitment to your well-being. And your intention is the most important thing. Commit to your well-being, whatever you decide to do. Make sure it fits into your life, and it will be easier to keep it going. And it'll be much easier to build it into a daily habit organically without struggle. And then the world is your oyster. You never know where it might end up. Maybe you will never get beyond doing a minute of sitting and breathing. That was where I was when I first started off. And these days I'm at the point where I, do a 10-minute meditation. I do a 10-minute qigong. I'll probably do a little bit of reading and maybe pull a tarot card. And yes, if you're into tarot cards, if you do, it is quite acceptable to just take a few minutes each day to sit down, shuffle your deck and pull one card and just see what that card says to you, and just spend a minute or two looking at that card and seeing what message comes through. That is a perfectly valid way to start building well-being practices into your daily life, because you're doing something for you for no other reason than you deserve it. And that's really all I want to talk about today. If you've seen any of my other videos and there are some of my techniques you think you'd like to know more about, DM me. I'm very, very happy to do one-to-one video appointments, or if you live close enough, very happy to do one-to-one in the real world, face-to-face appointments, but video works for most people. I'm very happy to do that. And if you do a video appointment with me, it'll be 30 minutes, and all I ask you to pay is a donation of whatever you can afford, minimum donation of £1 UK. If you would like me to record a specific guided meditation for you, if there is something I've done in my other videos, thought, oh, I really like that, and you'd like something that's just audio that you can listen to, again, DM me. I'm very happy to record a meditation personalized to you, and the cost will be the same. Minimum, just all I ask is a donation of what you can afford, minimum donation of £1. I'm passionate about health and well-being because I know from my own experience that when you commit to putting these techniques into your life, It does help. And all I want you to do is to make that same commitment to you. And wherever you start, as long as you're doing something, that's fine. So we'll end this video now. And what I would like to do is to say thank you for watching. And remember that you matter. Namaste.